I have created videos about behavior change, healthy habits, self-care for years. And over that period of time, my beliefs and my ideas about what works and what doesn't work have shifted radically. A lot of the stuff that I used to believe led me to a lot of struggle and a lot of confusion about how to be successful and how to change things in your life. I was implementing a lot of these things and holding a lot of ideas, some of which are quite popular and quite normalized, that just didn't really work, or they just weren't complete. In this video, I want to talk about some of the biggest mindset shifts that I've made that have helped me to actually make changes in my life by talking through the beliefs that I used to hold versus the beliefs that I hold now. Old belief: there's something wrong with you if you can't make a change in your life easily. New belief: if you're struggling to make a change in your life, you need to experiment, and you probably won't get it right the first time. Julianne, a lovely member from the Life Map community, which is my planner brand, sent me this quote that really resonated. Any plan that requires you to become a better person for it to work isn't a good plan. We often plan our lives with this future self in mind, and this future self is flawless. They are permanently motivated. They are filled with energy all of the time, in the mornings before work and in the afternoons after work. And then we blame ourselves when we can't do the thing, achieve the goal, stick to the habit. It's a lot like sending someone to the gym and getting them to train on extremely heavy weights and then getting annoyed at them and calling them weak when they decide that they don't want to come back. The changes that you make in your life need to accommodate who you are now, the energy levels that you have now, the time that you have available to you now. It's easy to fall into a pattern of setting a really hard goal for yourself or a really hard new habit for you to take on because you're setting it when you're in this really motivated state. You watch a video and you're just like, yes, I am going to start running for 40 minutes a day. But when you're planning for a habit, you need to set it for current you. You and your circumstances tomorrow, the next day, 1 week from now, probably isn't going to be drastically different from you right now and what you're capable of right now. Old belief: if I try to start a new habit and it doesn't stick, that is where the story ends. New belief, and this is life-changing: new habits can take a few goes, sometimes more than a few, until they stick, and that is fine. That belief is huge and life-altering when you fully and completely accept it. Embed that into your brain, accept it into your lifestyle so thoroughly that you could never forget it, and watch your life slowly change. This belief is so important because it stops you from blowing up at yourself when you do have a failure, and it accepts failures as a normal part of the process. One of the biggest problems that everyone faces when it comes to behavior change and building a healthier or happier lifestyle is the ability to deal with struggle and not just give up. It's very easy to try to start the workout habit, the eating better habit, the meditation habit, and then find yourself not sticking to it, getting angry at yourself and just giving up. All of a sudden, failing to stick to a habit or stick to a new way of behaving or stick to a new goal becomes just kind of a normal thing, not this like big huge deal. And when it happens, you're like, okay, well, this is normal, now let's try again. This video is sponsored by Skillshare, and if you're looking for somewhere to start when it comes to behavior change, if you're figuring out what you even should focus on changing first, I have a great course for you. My class on designing a life that you want, 4 exercises for clarity and motivation, will walk you through 4 of my absolute favorite exercises for getting clarity and motivation in life and deciding sort of what you need to focus on, what you might need to work on that will have a bigger impact. It now has nearly 8,000 students, which is mind-blowing and amazing. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes for creative and curious people. On Skillshare, you can explore new skills with classes on things like graphic design, photography, productivity, watercolor, videography. Literally, there aren't many things that I could name that wouldn't have a relevant class on Skillshare. You can deepen your existing passions and you can get creative. There are just so many classes available to you. Skillshare offers a membership with meaning. There are so many classes and things to create with real projects attached to them and a whole community of creative and like-minded people to support you. The classes Skillshare offers are designed for real life and real circumstances. They can help you to stay inspired and productive, express yourself, and introduce you to a community of millions. At a time when so many important conversations are happening in our world, your voice is more essential than ever. Explore classes to unlock your creativity for social good. Skillshare is curated specifically for learning, so there are no ads. They are always launching new premium classes, seriously, always. And you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. It is less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. The first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. Click the link in the description below. Now, moving on to our next belief. Old belief. Behavior change is supposed to feel easy and effortless, and if you don't believe that, you'll struggle. New belief. Behavior change is known to be hard sometimes, but difficulty doesn't always correlate with doableness. Sometimes positive thinking is really, really helpful, and sometimes it is really, really damaging, and in the case of behavior change, positive thinking can be very damaging to you because it'll hinder your ability to accept struggle. By holding this belief that behavior change is easy and it is effortless, when you struggle, you'll start to blame yourself, which isn't helpful. The reality is that behavior change is known to be hard, and that might be difficult to hear, but the reality is a lot of things are hard. You probably went to school, maybe you got a degree, that's all really hard. If you sustain a relationship, that is hard. If you keep friendships up and you deepen your relationships in your life, that's difficult. If you hold a job, that is hard. It's okay for behavior change to be hard. And just because behavior change might hold some difficulties, it could also involve struggle, that literally doesn't mean that it's not doable. You do hard things all of the time. The best way to move through behavior change isn't this false idea that behavior change is effortless and easy and it should be simple and come to you with ease and grace. It should be to hold the belief that behavior change, sure, it can be hard, but it's also very doable. Old belief. If you miss a habit once or have a bad week, you can write it off as a failure, 100% perfection or nothing at all. New belief. If you stick to your exercise, tidying, planning habit 80% of the time, you are honestly a bloody champion. 80% is so much better than 0%, and it should be celebrated. People who are looking to change themselves, to grow themselves as a human being, usually do have higher standards of themselves, which can then result in you missing a day or breaking the chain and then throwing in the towel very, very quickly. I do like the rule of it's okay to skip a day, but just don't skip two. But I also think the most important thing to concentrate on is not how many days you've missed. More so, you should focus on how you can easily just get back to it. Doesn't really matter if you've missed a week or you missed 2 days in a row. That doesn't mean anything. It's just as easy to get back onto the bandwagon if you've skipped a week as it is to get back onto it if you've skipped a day. If you start to take your focus off you making mistakes, skipping the day, having a tough week where you didn't get to work on your goals, and start to focus a lot more on how you can just get back to it, you'll find you'll have a better mindset and a better attitude towards yourself. Learning to have self-compassion and accept that you are human and that you will have bad weeks and bad days is all part of this journey. Old belief. If so-and-so does it that way and that way doesn't work for me, I am flawed. New belief. Fixed approaches to behavior change don't usually work. Acknowledging your differences, keeping an open mind, experimenting, and being patient with yourself does. Every climb at the gym that I go to has a few different ways that you can approach it and that you can get to the top of the climb. The way that you go can depend on your height, it can depend on your body shape, as well as just your general preferences, your strengths and your weaknesses. And there's no one right way or wrong way. If I tried to approach a climb the same way that a very, very tall person tried to approach a climb, it wouldn't work for me. And a lot of the time, that's what we do in our lives. We try to approach everything the same way that we've seen everyone else approach it. And then when it doesn't work for us, we get really confused. High intensity workouts at 5 a.m. every day may work really, really well for that person over there. That doesn't mean that yoga and long walks isn't the best fit for you. Having a timer to drink water every hour might work really well for your colleague, but for you, maybe you just need to drink a whole bunch of water with every meal. I think that starting any behavior change with a way that is suggested to you by someone else or by copying someone else isn't actually a bad thing. It's a great way to start, so long as you realize that it's an experiment and that whatever doesn't work for you, you can change. By paying attention to your body and paying attention to how you react to things, paying attention to what works and what doesn't, and then making little shifts from there, you'll find a way that works for you. Maybe it doesn't work for anyone else. It doesn't really matter. As long as it works for you in the long run, that's all that matters. Old belief. Being hard on yourself helps. New belief. Self-compassion helps more. If your friend declared that they were going to write a book and they were a week into it and then you saw them slip up and then they kind of forgot about it for a week and you went to their house, you yelled at them, you told them that they were just a lazy worm that was useless and would never amount to anything in their life, do you think that they would be encouraged to continue writing said book? Would they feel ready to flourish, ready to grow, or would they feel totally disheartened and probably never write another word of their book again? conversation and maybe end your friendship because rude. A lot of people, especially in the productivity and success world, are all about tough love, discipline. It's like bro productivity. But it's been shown a number of times that self-compassion is actually the far better way to get yourself to get back up or to continue doing the thing. A healthy version of tough love in my eyes is still self-compassionate tough love. So saying things to yourself like, you are going through such a tough time and things have been really hard for you, but I know you and I know that you can do better than this. Maybe you can give it another go. Or saying things to yourself like, acknowledging your emotions is great, but I think that you continuing to feel sorry for yourself on this is actually hindering you more than helping. I think it's time to work out how to move past this. It's a little bit tough, but it's also very kind, very accepting and understanding, but it's holding yourself to a high standard as well. Tough love that is also self-compassionate helps you to take responsibility and raise your standards, whereas self-criticism and just being flat out nasty to yourself, it doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help you, it doesn't help anyone around you, it just doesn't do anything. Your behavior doesn't change because of it. It's just not helpful. If you liked this video, you'll probably like the playlist that I have created, all focused on behavior change and how to create habits and create routines in your life using behavior change techniques that work really well. I'm going to have that playlist linked on the screen as well as down below. I appreciate you so very much and I will see you soon.